assault production, look at where we are here. This is a little bit better view than the fence from before. I don't know, but don't look at the view. Listen to the analysis here as we now talk about GOAT. Who was the greatest of all time in quarterbacks? Yes, you can debate this forever. And immediately when trying to debate that, and I'm going to spend 10 minutes doing that now, when debating that, you run into three problems. First of all, comparing era to era. Right, you go back to the time of Johnny Unitas. I never saw him. I'm not going to bring in that, going that far back. And that was a time when the rules was more for running game. As we went on into the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, it became more of a passing game. As the rules favored the passing game, teams threw more, and therefore it's very hard to compare era to era. For example, Bob Greasy threw the ball 8 times or 9 times in his 2 Super Bowls that he won. A little bit of an extreme, but not unusual to have that much running back in the 70s. Speaking of Bob Greasy, that leads me to my second point, and that is the Dolphins won based more on their defense. So you have to take into account the team. That's point number 2. What type of team did they have? He was a great quarterback. I don't know, maybe it was just a great defense, which really leads to the third point. Don't go by how many times they won. Winning is important, obviously, for a quarterback, but I hate that they keep looking at how many rings the guy has to determine if he's the greatest quarterback. It could be that they had a great defense. Could be they had a great coach. It wasn't because of the quarterback. That being said, I will not contradict myself by saying the following, and that is, I will go by how that quarterback personally performed in the playoffs. That is important in ranking a quarterback to me. How he personally performed in playoffs and in Super Bowl. Again, not a contradiction. I don't count it against the quarterback if he didn't win Super Bowls, if he personally performed great. But I do want that quarterback to perform great come playoff time. So let's get right to it. Let's go to Tom Brady. Everyone's saying now that he won Super Bowl 51. Oh my gosh, the GOAT, the greatest ever. He has 5 Super Bowls. Again, I am not looking at how many Super Bowls that guy won. That's not going to, in my mind, affect whether he's the greatest. However, Tom Brady has played well in playoffs and in Super Bowls, and particularly Super Bowl 51. That comeback was to his credit. Tremendous comeback. He was 10-0 before he ever lost a playoff game. However, take into account that in the first 3 Super Bowls, they won Super Bowl 36, 38, 39. They won primarily because of their defense, because of Bill Belichick. And if you disagree with me on Super Bowl 36, you are not. I'm saying you're wrong. Super Bowl 36 for sure. Tom Brady was just a young guy. It was his first full year. He was an up and coming quarterback. Wasn't that looked at as great at that point? He did a great job as an up-and-coming quarterback, but they won primarily because of the Richard Seymours, the William McGinnis, the Ty Laws, and that's led by Bill Belichick, who somehow, even with not that much talent on defense, stopped the greatest show on turf in the Super Bowl and the St. Louis Rams, and did a fantastic job throughout that run, that playoff run. The defense is what won it for them. I'm not taking away from Brady, but that was not Brady that won Super Bowl 36. 38, first they didn't, but Tom Brady didn't make the playoffs in the year Super Bowl 37. That was Tampa Bay against Oakland. And then going into the Super Bowl 38 season, that's 2003, that wasn't a year where they Tom Brady's going to lead him to the Super Bowl. Again, they didn't throw the ball that much. Their best receiver was Troy Brown. It was more of a control, a game manager. I even called Tom Brady a game manager at that point in his career. And he was developing into a star. There was more and more offense with Super Bowl 38 and 39. But again, they won primarily because of a great defense. That's how they beat. Again, Tom Brady won 32-29 in Super Bowl 38. Great game for Brady. Although he did throw a terrible interception in the fourth quarter of that game. Super Bowl 39. Again, not that great a game for Brady. They won 24-21. They won primarily on defense. Am I taking away again? I'm not taking away anything from Tom Brady when he won the 3. But when they won the 3 Super Bowls, don't look at it like the years he had better years when he was throwing to Randy Moss, and when he was throwing to Wes Welker, and they opened up the offense, and then you got to see that Tom Brady could do that. It would have been interesting had he gone his whole career with the type of team that they had when they won Super Bowl 36, 38, 39. He would have been more of a Bob Greasy, Phil Simms type, where the team won based on defense and a game manager type offense. But then we saw that Brady could do it when they had a tremendous offense. Notice they didn't win a Super Bowl when they had Randy Moss or Wes Welker, and they lost Super Bowl 42 and 46 when they had great offenses. And it was only when they got Darrelle Revis back, when they got Darrelle Revis and a great defense back for Super Bowl 49, did they win. Tom Brady had a great Super Bowl. We'll give it, even though we threw 2 interceptions, we'll give that as a nice job against Seattle to come back from 10 behind and win 28-24, and Super Bowl 51 to come back from 28-3. Is he the GOAT? But no. I'm rating Dan Marino as my GOAT. Dan Marino, he didn't win any Super Bowls. Again, don't use Super Bowls. He never had a defense to win a Super Bowl. They didn't even give him a running game to win a Super Bowl. To me, Dan Marino, I'm going by the eyeball. I'm eyeballing it. Come on, Dan Marino was accurate. He threw tremendously hard. He was a tremendous leader. The intensity, and again, when Dan Marino's in the game, you say, to me, that was the best quarterback that ever played. Did he play well in playoffs? Yes, he did play well in playoffs. He ran into teams. He ran into Buffalo a few times that had a better team. Again, comes playoffs, he ran into some bad weather sometimes. Did he have bad playoff games? Yes, all quarterbacks had bad playoff games. But to me, Dan Marino personally performed well in the playoffs. I hold Peyton Manning's playoff career against him. How? In 16 of the 27 games that he played in the playoffs, he was subpar, and in many of them, horrendous. Do I blame Peyton Manning for not having more rings? No, again, I don't hold it against them. They never had the defense. They may not have had the running game. I don't blame Peyton Manning for not having more rings. But I do blame Peyton Manning for personally performing lousy in many of his playoff games, subpar in 16 of the 27, including when he won Super Bowl 50 last year. He was terrible, maybe the worst Super Bowl performance of a winning quarterback. The only other one I would think of is Super Bowl 40, Ben Roethlisberger. You could debate which one was the worst performance of a winning team. Ben Roethlisberger was against Seattle, that was, when they won 21-10. So again, I do hold it against Peyton Manning and therefore I do not rank Peyton Manning in the top 5 or whatever amongst the greats. He is the best regular season quarterback of all time. You could debate that, and I would say that. I would agree with that. He was tremendous regular season. But because of his personal performance in the playoffs, I don't put him up there in the GOAT league. Aaron Rodgers, by the way, only has 1 Super Bowl ring, and they're starting to hold that against him. He's been tremendous in the playoffs personally, including his first one ever was a loss 51-45 against Arizona. Tremendous performance there. He had other tremendous. He had a game where he played on one leg against the Cowboys a few years back. Won that game. Ended up losing to Seattle. Can't blame him on that loss to Seattle. It was because of an onside kick. They actually were dominating that game. Rodgers played well against a very good Seattle defense. Rodgers has been fine in the playoffs. His team doesn't have a defense. His team may not have had a good enough running game, whatever. That's why they didn't win Super Bowls, not because of Aaron Rodgers. Let's throw in now Joe Montana and John Elway. Joe Montana won 4 Super Bowls again. He was one of the key ingredients there, but don't forget that they had a very good defense. Don't forget they had a lot of weapons there. Tremendous amount of weapons. But Joe Montana clearly is up there. It can be debated as the GOAT together with Marino. In my time when I was growing up, it was Marino, Montana, and John Elway that were in the discussion as being the greats. Elway had a lot of bad performances in Super Bowls before finally winning when they got a running game, Terrell Davis, and a little bit of a defense. But again, John Elway's up there amongst the greats just because of, again, of his throwing, and he also had the element of being able to run, scramble, and that helped him. His legs helped him in his game. So John Elway's up there, but I always had Elway a little bit below Marino and Montana. So the GOAT to me is Dan Marino. Second, you got Montana, Tom Brady up there. You got Elway there. below that Manning because of his playoff run. I take that into account strongly. This has been